So I'm very pleased to have joining us this podcast, Mr. Keith Burke, Dr. Keith Burke. He's the superintendent of the North Union United School Corp. And I don't know if you've changed your name officially yet. I know you were talking about it in Indiana. What makes Dr. Burke particularly interesting is that he's now in this school district, which is a rural suburban district. He also ran and was superintendent of the Marion Community School District, which includes Indianapolis. And he also was a principal in a charter school neighborhood. So Keith, you've had a lot of different experiences, successful experiences. So first off, let me say welcome and thank you for sharing some of your time with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here and talk about some things that we're doing and some things that we've done in the past.
So what I'd love to, given the way I teed this up, is talk to me about the experience of having seen all three, having seen rural school district, suburban, urban school district, and the charter environment. What's similar? What's different about those experiences?
The thing that I'll tell you is that in all the districts that I've been in, everyone has good intentions. And people sometimes think that the charter schools are the devil that are in public schools and vice versa. Even though a charter school is a public school, it's a different type of public school. And some people have a lot of angst toward that. I am a firm believer that there are different seats for all type of children. And the fact of the matter is that anything that's good for a child, it may not be good for one, it may be good for another. And choice is important for them. I'm an actual, probably one of the few superintendents that will be an advocate for that. I think that it's very important to put the child first. And I will say that the schools that I've worked for, the corporations that I've worked for, people have had good intentions everywhere they've been. Sometimes I would say that the message got a little out of whack, or the way to get to where they wanted to be became out of whack. But individuals in general that I've worked for, all of them have the best interests of kids at heart. Sometimes they don't know how to get to where they're going. There's a quote, and I know it didn't come from this person, but an individual I work with at Marion Community Schools used to say, unfortunately, we love kids to death, not to life. And I see so much of that by not holding them accountable. You have to, with our own children, what we accept, we should not do any less within our school children. We should expect excellence and greatness from all of them. And excellence and greatness comes in different shapes and sizes. What may be excellence and greatness to one is not to another. But what we want to do is give all the children the opportunity to be successful in the best way that they can, to take the old Army phrase, be all you can be. That's what I want students to be. So when you talk about differences and similarities, I can tell you, actually go the opposite way. I'll start where I am now. Small school district, about 1,250 now students total in the district. Very small. It is a very tight-knit, small community, even though it's rural. So boundary-wise, we spread almost as far as previous districts I've had that have had 10 times the amount of students. So it's an interesting dynamic in the fact that it's a small school, but as far as geographically, it's a large boundary, a lot of farmland. And we would be a bedroom community to South Bend, Indiana, which is, again, a pretty large community. The thing that I will say here, that people can get a little stuck in their ways in small towns, small areas, and sometimes you have to challenge them to get outside of their comfort zone, which is something that I definitely don't have a problem doing. But I will say that they've been wonderful. I think at the first it was a little bit of, whoa, this guy's coming in here, he wants this. The thing that I tell them is what I want is growth. I won't accept that if our students aren't growing. We are here for our students, and we're here to provide a service and to ensure that they're being the best they can be. So the first year's data, even in the first year, we've shown growth on all levels. So I'm so very excited about that. Going all the way back to the Indianapolis Public Schools, at the time, the largest school district in the state of Indiana. And I can tell you that the thing that I will say about that is that we had some absolutely wonderful leaders. Sometimes I felt that there was a lot of minutia at the top. I felt it became pretty bureaucratic to where that it was sometimes hard to get some things done. So that would be a contradictory on the smaller school district versus the larger, even though they want change, but they don't know how to have change comfortably. And sometimes change is not comfortable. Growth is never comfortable. It takes you outside of your comfort zone. So that's been the challenge, but I will say that we have enough people here that believe in our students and believe in our school here that they can do it. And in the Indianapolis Public Schools, we had a bunch of people that could do that, but we also had some people that were caught up again in the bureaucracy of it. I felt sometimes in a large school district, not to be very graphic, but I'm going to be graphic. I think that sometimes we tend to prostitute ourselves out to whatever grant came out there. We were chasing money versus chasing success of students. And I felt in the Indianapolis Public Schools that happened quite frequently. In Charter Schools USA, I will tell you that I felt that they definitely cared about the kids. When I was with charter school, it was a good place. They cared about kids, but their bottom line was they wanted to make money. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's one thing. This is America. We have the opportunity to do that. Sometimes as a advocate for the student in the position I was in, that butted heads a little bit. But I will say ultimately, they cared about the kids too. It was not, I've never worked in an organization where the people that are in education did not care about the kids. Sometimes their caring was misguided, in my opinion. But I think all of them cared about the students. Sometimes the way they went about it was not the way that I felt was the best to serve the student.
Excellent. And I love the analogy. Larger organizations just naturally tend to be more bureaucratic. Minutia tends to matter more, it seems, to some people than others.
Yes.
This notion of progress, and it's interesting that we would have to convince someone in the age of artificial intelligence and all this taking place that they have to progress. And
Yes.
and you're right. When my old business partner of mine, he famously said to me that the key right now is that you have to become comfortable being uncomfortable. There is no situation in education or really in success, personally or professionally, where you don't have to do things that are going to be different than you did.
Absolutely. And even on a personal level, this isn't the Keith Burke show, but on a personal level, I would say I was 5 years ago, about 310 pounds. Played college football at about 200 pounds. I'm actually below that 200-pound range right now. And when you talk about being uncomfortable, it wasn't uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable to have to cut down on my food. It was uncomfortable to have to start working out again. But I also wanted to live to be there for my family and to be here for their students. So the matter is, I had to change. It was a lot more fun eating pizza and hot dogs and brews. And I cut most of that out.
Man,
But,
I relate.
but change is good. Again, like I said, with the uncomfortableness came results. And I use that analogy sometimes with our teachers. I had to change too, and I didn't like it because I was unhealthy. So the fact of the matter is I had to do what I needed to do to make myself healthy so I could be here for you guys and be here for our students.
And in some respect, one would say that some of our school districts are unhealthy. If you've got consistently 20% low performing, failing schools, that's unhealthy.
Yes.
And as I have stepped into this space with this commitment to education, I shared with you on our first conversation, I began to offend some people in education because I wanted to look at it like a business. I wanted to look at it through the lens of a typical business said 20% of its customers really did not like what they were doing, you'd be out of business.
Yeah, you wouldn't be working very long.
You wouldn't be working very long. And I'm curious to hear your take on looking at the school system through the lens of business, and perhaps how is that different now that and I think your charter school experience supported that. How does that help you in terms of leading your district, speaking with your school board, or being able to articulate your rationales in terms of we've got a customer service requirement. Otherwise, our parents are going to talk with going to make decisions that are going to have a negative.
So again, in the state of Indiana, we are a choice school state, which means that anyone can go to any school they like. Now they have to provide their transportation in most instances. Give an example here at LaVille, 38% of my students do not live in my boundary. They choose to come here. And so if we only receive the students in our boundary, we would be about 900 students. We absolutely need these transfer students. We need these students to choose to come here. So it is a business. We market, we show a product, we absolutely do things that when you talk about getting out of your comfort zones, doing face post, doing things to that extent, marketing ourselves continually. Educators do not like to do that. They do not. And the fact of the matter is that this is a competitive world and education is a competition now. And the fact of the matter is that you're either going to eat or be eaten, and it's up to you. So in a small district, it's a little bit more challenging, but give me an example. Some of the things that we've done to ensure that we are competitive. We will be, by the end of next year, certified early college. We will be only one of two in the northern part of the state that are a certified early college. And with 1,250 students total in the district, our students will be able to earn an associate's degree. We had 11 seniors this year out of our 97 graduating seniors. We had 11 seniors this year that finished the Indiana Core, which means they graduated with 30 college credits. And that is something that we pushed. And a lot of these kids coming into last year only had about 2 credits. And we made changes that quick to where their whole senior year, they were taking college courses. The fact of the matter is we're preparing them for success as they come out, and it is a competitive world. So that is the fact that if you not have that business mindset in the superintendent, you definitely have to continue to be the educational leader. That's what it's about. But if you do not have a business mindset in this competitive environment, you won't last.
How does let's operate under the presumption that, let me ask the question differently. What was your school board's reaction to that approach? Was that fundamentally different than how they had assumed a superintendent would step in and articulate? Because what we find is the average superintendent's tenure is less than 3 years. And so there's the fundamental disconnect between where the board thinks the district should be going and what the superintendents are doing. So talk about that board dynamic and wrap in business concepts.
Again, I think that I have the best of both worlds with my board because I have board members that are very successful businessmen. I have 3. I have 2 that are educators. So I think that it's a great balance for us. So I think that probably the educators were happy because we focused on education, but they were also maybe a little bit nervous with the way that I came across some things that we need to be held accountable and we need to do better. I think that the business people it was music to their ears. And we also, again, we're not letting the grass grow underneath our feet. We're doing some things where we're going to challenge and go after some money and do some things that they haven't done in the past. Because if you want your school system to be great, we have to provide our students with great facilities, with a great environment, and with an opportunity to succeed with the best teachers, which means we want to pay them. Great corporations take care of their people. And that's what we want to do as well. We want the best. I think that when you talk about challenges differences, charter school, at Charter Schools USA, if people were not doing the job, they did not stay on the job. I will give them credit for that. They're not going to let a person float through. Public schools have a tendency to do that. And that's a paradigm shift for my administrators right now. And I will tell you, we've made some changes and made some people uncomfortable. We've had probably as much turnover in the last year as they've had in a while. But the difference is we're the ones who made the decision for the turnover, because we are not going to accept what's not best for our kids. And we're going to have teachers that are going to come out. And the fact of the matter, you have the tools, even in a public institution with evaluation, you have the tools to ensure that your students get the best.
So what you described in my mind is what I call alignment, right? So your school board and your cabinet, your principals, everybody got the message.
Yes.
This is what we're here for. We're here for the kids. And we, if you will, are looking at our decisions through the lens of, I've got a customer service. I got to deliver value, and my workforce has got to be committed to that. And if you're not, I'm really not going to be prepared to do that. And board, I need you to support me. Cabinet, I need you to execute and make decisions through that lens. What's the cost of a district not understanding that, not committing to that perspective?
Well, again, I think what you have to have is you have to have people that are aligned, because if you do not, you will never be successful. If the right hand is working against the left hand, you're never going to be successful. It is absolutely so important that you find common values, you find common beliefs that you know that you want your students to have, that is important to this community. So community buy-in is important. That's another part that's important. I try to be a member of the community wherever I am. I try to, and when I say that, an active participant within the community. It's so important to be seen out at events, not just your school events, to be seen out at the community events. And I will tell you, I'm a walking advertisement when I'm out. When somebody tells me they go to another school because just because they're at a community event doesn't mean they live in this community. And they'll say, go to the school that's up north a little bit. I'll say, that's wonderful. Have you ever thought about Louisville? Again, I definitely am always selling, because the fact of the matter is that it is a competitive market. But I do think that if you do not align from the custodian to the school board president to the superintendent, you will not be successful. You will not be.
That's an excellent point. So let's one of the great challenges, and I think we've talked about it some here today. Schools have a very traditional approach. They get stuck in bureaucracy. If you had a magic wand and you could start a school district from scratch, you don't have to deal with the legacy of somebody saying, this is how we've always done it. What would you create? How would you go about it?
I can tell you that's interesting you say that, because I'm trying to create it. So what we absolutely would do is every single student. So in special education, you have what's called an IEP, an individual educational plan. So where you're planning around that student, every student should have an IEP. Every student should have an individual education plan. Not every student learns the same, and it should be tailor-made to our students. So we need to have a seat for everyone on the bus. And the fact of the matter is that we need to find what works for our students. Some students are traditional learners. Some students learn better by the computer. They're virtual. Some students learn better by hands-on activities. We need to get them out doing work, doing the things that they do. It's not a thing where everyone is going to be a doctor, everyone is going to be a lawyer, but we need to provide our students an opportunity to be a successful member of the community, whether that's through a trade, whether that's through, again, technology, whether that's through academics. We need to ensure that they have an academic foundation for whatever they do. But the fact of the matter is, we also need to make sure that they have an opportunity to succeed outside of these walls. And that is something that we're really pushing with partnerships with businesses around here and internships. And the state of Indiana is doing a good job with that. And I would say that the challenging part with us is in a small rural district, we don't have a ton of internship opportunities for our students. But the businesses that are here are absolutely bought in and committed. And that's the thing that's extremely important. And what we do is, if it's not here, we'll virtually work with our students. We'll ensure that they get that opportunity. If we don't have a veterinarian sitting right here that can do what they want to do, or if we have someone that is absolutely hell-bent they're going to be a neurosurgeon, we're going to connect them with the neurosurgeon, even if it's virtually. We're going to be sure that we do the things to advocate for our students to get what they need. And that would be my version of the perfect school. The school that absolutely accommodates the students and does what we need to do to best serve our students within our financial means, because that is part of it. But we do the things that we do to give the students an opportunity to be what they want to be.
Let me ask you, mention community and being a fantastic community. You've already noted the fact that you have businesses that are aligned to help the students in terms of their academics. You have early college. Those are really neat to have those cooperations. Kind of where else does that show up? There are families that have social service things, that maybe the social service environment that have. Are you also aligned with them? Are there dynamic relationships in that regard as well?
We absolutely are. And you know what? Sometimes schools get territorial. And so what I'm saying is, we have some students that let's say that they have an autistic child. We have some parents that have autistic children. Sometimes the schools are not the best to handle some of the behavioral situations. We partner with our local organizations that do that, and we allow, through the parents, access for them to come into our schools. We want our school to be, when I was principal in Indianapolis, we were in the National Community School of the Year, and that community schooling is involving the community. We had partnerships when I was in Indianapolis with anyone from National Starch to Eli Lilly to our mental health organizations, to even our probation. We served an at-risk population. Our probation department, we allowed our parents to come in to meet with their probation officer in our school to get them in the school. So we gave probation officers an office in our school in Indianapolis to do that. It was opportunity health services for our students. So we're right now partnering with some local health organizations. We have a mobile dentist that comes in. We want to be sure that our students are healthy too, not just physically, but mentally as well. So we have mental health counseling. We do a lot of different things. We have a lot of different opportunities for a small school. That's our slogan: small school, big opportunities.
And it feels like that would also be an interesting dynamic to play in terms of your workforce, in terms of them feeling valued, right? to proactively talk about their well-being and what it is that you want them to do? Do you have specific programs that are tied to, in effect, the workforce feeling that sense of value?
Absolutely. And one thing again that I'm very fortunate with, two of my board members are business owners and they work with our students on internships. I have one of them that owns a more or less roofing company and one of the largest in this area. And then I have another one that owns a plastics company, more of a factory. And we have opportunities for our students to come to work right out of high school and while they're in high school through internships. So we have students that are through career trades that are moving right into the workforce right from school and giving them opportunities to be successful in life with a high paying wage that's going to do what they need to do. And we want to continue there. And the difference is that we're hoping that our students, and we're pushing our students to where even if they're going to the trades, to where they have college already down too, though. So the fact of the matter is that I don't want them to just be that factory worker. Eventually, if they want to be, I want them to be that factory owner. So to have the opportunity to start on the ground floor and learn it, but also get the educational background to where that they can pursue other things if they want to.
There's a word, culture, that has a lot of different meanings to a lot of different people within the context of what you do. What is culture? Or how do you explain it?
To me, again, culture is what you stand for, what you feel when you walk in here. You have to have, as we call it, Lancer pride. You have to have Lancer pride. We're big on that and we promote that and we also market that. And we are big on, again, we're big on branding. That's something that I've changed here. We moved to one logo. They had about 16. And people may think that we're Las Vegas because our logo is an LV for LaVille, because LaVille is actually two communities. It's Lakeville and La Paz. So it's two small communities, but it's a situation where we market what we are. People know what's expected of them from, again, the custodian to the school board. We create a culture of excellence for everyone. I have a custodian and we in here talking to him last night. I was actually in here working and he was in here in my office cleaning some things and talking about how you doing. And the thing that I can tell you is that he took pride in what he's doing. The first thing he asked me is, how is your building? How am I doing a good job? Am I doing what you want me to do? And that's the thing that we really want to preach, is that we want everyone to have pride where that they want their job to be done as well as it can possibly be. And our field service people, everything that we can do, we want to do it well and we want to have pride in it. And that's Lancer pride.
That's culture all the way. So I think where I want to kind of get two things. I want to ask you this final one or two questions and then give you an opportunity to summarize the whole thing. In terms of how are you tracking your progress? You can think about it. We like to think about it in terms of playbooks and scorecards. What are the handful of indicators that you are looking at? Are some of them leading indicators that are going to tell you there's an issue in advance, and there's some lagging ones? And to what extent are they well understood throughout the school district and even beyond?
Yes. So I would say again that you have to be careful we have to be all things to all children, but we have to be careful in what we're doing. So what I'm saying is we do definitely monitor our progress academically. We're doing benchmark assessments continually to find out where our students are. And again, creating an opportunity for them to succeed. We have professional development with our teachers where we're going over that, but we not only do that, we have data talks with our students. So our students know where they are. Our students need to know what they are, not just in LaVille, what they are versus the state of Indiana, what they are versus nationally, where they're ranked. Our students need to understand that's important. And we have those talks, and that's tough sometimes in second and third grade to tell the kids that you're doing great, but look how this kid's doing. You got to do better. You got to push stuff into the tell the parents. That's a paradigm shift here. We have fiscal benchmarks that we try to hit. Again, we're ensuring that we're staying true to ourselves and being fiscally responsible to the community. That's a part of it too. Those are benchmarks that are important to success for any organization. Are you able to pay the bills? Are you keeping the lights on? Are you able to pay your people? Are you able to ensure that they're getting a competitive salary and doing the things that they need to do? Do they have a good work-life balance? Are we ensuring that happens as well? But we're still going to bust their tail when they're here. But are they getting the opportunity to enjoy themselves in the evenings, be with their family, be with their friends? We want them to do that. We want our teachers to be rejuvenated, to be refreshed, and to have that opportunity. But it's checking benchmarks, continual assessment, SEPA's attendance. If a student's not here, how can they learn? That's a huge one for us. And I would say when we got here, the attendance here was 56% when we got here. We're right now at 79%. So we're not where we want to be. We want to be at 95%. If you come to work 95% of the time, you're doing a pretty good job. If you come to work 76% of the time, how are you getting your job done? What employer is going to want you at 76%? So that's something when you talk about employee too, one thing that we do is we do have a pathway which is based on work-based ethics and work-based completion. For instance, are you attending? Are you doing these things that you need to be successful in the workforce? This would indicate success. Are you there and are you giving a great effort? That's important. That's extremely important. Those are things that we look at. And a third thing that we look at is our enrollment. If we are not drawing in students, if we're not doing, we can have the greatest program in the world, but if we're not telling people about it, and if we're not getting enrollment, it's a problem. We've went up every quarter since I've been here. Our enrollments continue to grow, and we will continue to grow. I'm telling you, we will, because we're going to do the right things to ensure that happens.
It's excellent. It speaks to a wonderful blending, a commitment to high quality educational outcomes, and a realization that you're in a competitive work environment. If nobody knows you're great, you got to tout your own horn. And it's not just you, it's got to be the entire workforce believing it. It's got to be the parents, even the kids out there saying, yeah, I love that environment. That's what draws that next set of parents to consider what you're doing. And one of the things that we talk about is that we want public school to be an employer of choice, right? So if you're an educator in this marketplace looking for some place to work, we want them to think, man, I want to be at the public school. Yeah, the public school's fine. The chart, I want to be at that public school. And I want those parents and I want those children to say, there's no better place than right there at my local public school. Or in your case, the public school that's getting it done.
Right down the road.
People from someplace down the road, whatever it takes. So as we wrap this up, are there any other thoughts or comments that are, because you did such a wonderful job of articulating just a solid perspective on how education can be so.
The thing that I would say is that just if I was to give advice to young administrators, to young teachers, everything else, think outside of the box. You don't do the same thing every day. Definition of sanity is continuing to do the same thing that's not successful. Take chances, take risks. Take calculated chances and calculated risk. Ensure that when you're doing those things, don't go out on a limb in the fact that research shows what works. Use what works. Now, again, there are a lot of different things that work. Don't be harnessed to one way. Continue to change. And the one thing I tell you, like, we have one teacher who's absolutely excellent here. We have a lot of teachers excellent, but we have one that just is getting recognized for the Armstrong Award, which is an academic excellence award from Indiana University, from a graduate of Indiana University. And I can tell you right now, in any day you can go in her classroom and you're going to see different styles of education going on in any day. And a lot of times during the same class period, you're going to see small, and this is in high school. In elementary school, you do see a lot of small group instruction, a lot of whole group, doing it in a lot of individual. She has that happen every day in her high school classroom, just doing a phenomenal job of ensuring that every student is getting what they need. A lot of the highest level of education is when you're a facilitator. I say that she's a facilitator more than a teacher now. Her students are leading a lot of it. She's doing the things that she needs to do to allow them to be successful. She teaches them what they need to do, and then she lets them run with it. And that's what you also have to do. You can't be afraid of giving up some control. That's something also that I would say to young administrators. Yeah, you're the one in charge. You don't have to tell everybody you're in charge. You're in charge, but give other people an opportunity to lead. Let them lead, encourage them, and be there to support them when they fall.
That's excellent. That is so spot on. You're growing leaders when you allow them to do you just described. And so you've positioned, that's like a succession planning structure in effect. You want to groom your successor. You don't want to be so paranoid about somebody replacing you that you're trying to suppress.
Exactly.
No, there's something else that you can do. There's another opportunity into the future if you, in effect, shift that. And that's a culture. This all comes back to the culture. It comes back to the purpose of growth, not just for your students, but for your workforce. And it's a challenge to the community.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thank you for spending some time with us. I know this is going to be beneficial to a lot of people. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you so much.